All right, because before I tell you what we're discussing for my banner this morning, it's your birthday today. Dear Dad, we owe our lives to you because you have lived every year of your life to make ours more livable. Happy 70th birthday to retired Commissioner of Police Joseph Boache Apia, from your children and grandchildren. They're all wishing you a happy 70th birthday today. Retired Commissioner of Police Joseph Boache Apia, from all your children to you, big happy 70th birthday today. And please, if you know him, just give him, like I say, a cute call this morning to wish him a happy birthday. But 20 pedestrian deaths have been recorded on the George Walker Bush Highway in the first quarter of 2015 as compared to 6 last year. And this is that figure may probably go up. It may not be this number, but whichever way you look at it, that's very, very worrying for us. And that's why we're having this conversation on my banner this morning. My guest is DSP Alexander Obing. He's Director of Research and Training, Ghana Police Motor Traffic and Transport Departments. Hello, DSP. Good morning.
Good morning.
So this figure, is it still the same? Because I see that you have...
I think good morning. I think to viewers as well. I think it's a challenge because since the road was came on stream in 2012, as early as February, there has been preventable incidents of crashes that has led to deaths of Ghanaians on that corridor and has injured many, and properties damage is also scaling, and it's not different from what we've registered or recorded between January and April this year, because you're talking about what happened in the first quarter, January to March. I think 7 more fatalities have been added to the 20 pedestrians that were crashed to death between the period. So
now we have 27.
7 were killed, and if you look at it in terms of also those who are injured, about 103 Ghanaians have been injured this year, and about 341 motor vehicles have been crashed on the corridor. So it is a problem, and at the same time, when you look at the impact on pedestrians, within 4 months of this year, 46 Ghanaians were crossing the road and were knocked down by vehicles, and some of them also died. That's why we have 27 die, and that is the road safety situation in terms of the challenge we have on the road.
Amazing. So
and
this
we are looking at
14.2
kilometer road between Tetakwashi interchange and Mala.
Okay, so that whole long stretch.
And then we are discussing it within the context of over 65,000 kilometer length of routes in Ghana. And you are looking at a 14-kilometer stretch of road, which is traversing an urbanized residential center that is causing this problem for us. And so when we are discussing it, let's look at it in that context as well.
How much speed are you supposed to make on that road?
And I think the road safety problem also can be premised on this question, because in the road law, we are told that if you are in town, the road is supposed to be designed by the road engineer so that the speed should not exceed 50. And in certain crowded area, it shouldn't exceed 30. But this is a situation where we have exposed the Ghanaians to a road environment called motorway, where the road law says that on a motorway, the speed limit should not be more than 100. So if you are on George Walker Bush motorway, which the name suggests, then the driver is told right from the onset that he he or she can move at 100 kilometers per hour, and that is also inimical to pedestrian safety, because for a driver to come to a stop on a road where pedestrians have been exposed to that such speed, the driver will it's likely that it will kill the pedestrian, and that's what we have, because there's a corridor which is not supposed to have pedestrian facilities like pelican crossing, like zebra crossing, and all that. But this is a situation where we have signalized certain junctions on these roads, and we have inadequate footbridges. We have recalcitrant jaywalking pedestrians, and we have.
Who are those? I mean, what's that?
Oh, we have those who are supposed to use the limited footbridges as provided on the corridor. At least I can count about, I think, 4 on this corridor, or 5 in terms of footbridges for pedestrians to use. But you see at the same area where these footbridges are provided, they find it convenient to cross the road on foot, scaling guardrails that are being used to, barricade the road, and are exposing themselves to danger instead of walking on the
footbridge that's been provided.
And that is the problem that why I discussed that. I termed the attitude as being, but at the same time, we also come to realize that these footbridges that were provided were also not designed to suit physically challenged. We are in wheelchair, you cannot be wheeled over it, and that is also an engineering defect. And I'm saying that they are too sparsely constructed, and we also have situations where the junctions on it have also been signalized, and traffic light keeps on failing. You have human beings called traffic officers directing and controlling, and they cannot be there around the clock. And then you leave the other road users to the mercy of marauding drivers. And we also have zebra crossings and pelican crossing that are not having lights functioning, and the road is so wide, and you expect children physically challenged, including the blind and who have hearing impairment, all to mix up to share the road with speeding vehicles, and the conflict is what we see in terms of fatalities and injury figures that you started the program with, and it is a problem.
Sure.
It obviously calls for re-engineering and changing strategy on the road.
So there's a particular point, I don't know how they call it, but there's police visibility there. You'd find there's a tent, and you find that there are policemen waiting there. Let me try and give you a description. When you are on if you're from the Achimota forests going to La Paz, and if you are coming to Tesano, you know that you have to go down there. There's
Apenkwa. It's called Apenkwa.
So the police people there, what are they checking? Is it because
I don't know whether you don't know more about visibility.
No, I get it, but so you know that there is a bus stop which is about 50 meters if I have it right, which is about 50 meters away from where they are. And there's another bus stop opposite, so people keep crossing, and there's no pedestrian crossing there, which is illegal. So I'm just wondering, is that part of when you say police presence, visibility, is that supposed to deter people from doing that?
Yeah, that's supposed to, and that also, police officers are there at all times to guide users of our roads to use the road properly and safely. I think basically that we are there to protect life and property. So
it seems to me like they're more interested in the vehicles doing the right thing than the pedestrians.
And I'm saying that it has to a very large extent overwhelmed police, because we have a corridor that lends itself for jaywalking, and that's what I mean. Because I said that if you design a road and the crossing point are not designated at appropriate places for users, you render the road useless, and that is what we are seeing. No wonder the the owner of the road, who also manages it on our behalf, Department of Highways, has commissioned a project to add more steel bridges to the existing one at points where users are indicating that they want to cross the road. And we also earlier have seen they have erected or mounted on the New Jersey barriers metal railing with mesh, attempting to ward off pedestrians who jaywalk on the corridor and expose themselves to danger. About which some of them have been damaged or removed, and they have pierced through, and people are still jaywalking. That shows you the extent of the spillover and the fact that police alone cannot do. That's why initially we added, and it is ongoing, education. And this one forms part that we are admonishing them to use the existing footbridges, and where we have the Pelican crossing point to cross there. But this, I think, for me, is inadequate, and the distance also sometimes determine behavior, because if geographic extent, I mean, can also determine behavior, and that's what we see. If you you want a pedestrian to walk a very great distance before he crosses. It determines certain behavior. The behavior in this context is jaywalking and exposure to danger, and in the end, fatal crashes involving pedestrian vehicle. And we are counting 46 within 4 months of this year.
So my colleague Redwan experienced it at first hand yesterday in the evening, and I want to bring that back. He had a conversation with a few people. We want to show you his experience, and then we will talk a lot more about this.
It is a very wet Wednesday and the usual rush hour on the George Walker Bush Highway. Remember, the highway was open to traffic in the year 2012 by the late President John Evans Atta Mills. Ever since the highway was open to traffic, it has recorded over 50 pedestrian deaths. Statistics available at the Motor Traffic and Transport Department indicates that the first quarter of this year alone has recorded 20 pedestrian deaths as compared to 6 pedestrian deaths recorded the same period last year. We have pitched camp at Niboy Junction, a stretch which is part of the N1 highway, to talk to road users to find out why they risk their lives by using unimproved routes and the challenges they face as well.
When you look at the locations of the stations, they happen to be around here. So a lot of time it's easier to access them by just crossing the road. You can see that the bridge is all the way at the back there. So to come all the way here means you have to go to that long route, which is an inconvenience to some of us. So we like to use this route through to the station.
Okay. But apart from what you've just talked about, what are the other challenges that you go through as road users?
The traffic lights. Sometimes when you come, you realize they are not working. So just like we crossed a moment ago, you realize it's not working. So you have to take the risk in crossing whilst vehicles are coming. So it poses a challenge, and maybe sometimes someone might cross and then get knocked down by a car. So yeah, that's also one of the challenges facing here using it.
Finally, do you know that this year alone the number of people who have been knocked down on this road has gone up? How does that make you feel?
It's worrying. It's worrying, and it will be, it will help to, help eradicate the situation if situations like the traffic lights can be improved, and then the accessible routes would be made a lot easier for people to cross the road. I also believe that with a lot more education to the drivers to slow down when they are approaching towards these areas, and things like that will help minimize the situations. Just like you can see here, people are crossing the road while a big truck is coming. A lot of these things need to be, a lot of education need to be to help eradicate this situation.
What are some of the challenges you go through whilst using this road?
As you can see, the traffic light it's not working, so we're really suffering. It's like the cars don't want to stop, and there's miscommunication between the pedestrians and the drivers. So.
One of the challenges, as you can witness over here, we are suffering to cross the road. At this point, the traffic light is not working. There's power outage, so we cannot cross. So maybe we are praying that the light will come on so that we can cross, or there's traffic before we can cross this road.
But have you heard any story about people being knocked down on this road?
Oh, of course. I've heard a lot of stories. I've heard a lot of stories about people being knocked down on this road.
How does that make you feel?
I feel sad though, but there's nothing to say.
But a lot of the time we see people risking their lives using unapproved routes. Why?
The question again, I didn't hear you if you were saying that.
We see a lot of people using unapproved routes all the time. Why is this happening?
Unapproved because see, let's take from where the footbridge is up to this place. Okay, this is the main place we cross. Okay, so instead of the footbridge should be at this place rather than at the far end. Okay, so if it's over here, we shall cross over here. But because not there, we have to cross through this place. This is the market center. Okay, so we cannot go back there and go and cross over there. We have to cross over here. Okay.
Thank you very much. And so let's try and get in touch with a lot more people. See, I'll find out from them what they go through using this road. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
What's your name?
Makafui.
Okay. What are some of the challenges you go through whilst using this road?
Well, it's very scary because sometimes when the light is off, for instance, when the traffic lights came, formerly the cars stop on their own, but now because the lights are in, cars sometimes like to cross even when the red light is on. So you see that the pedestrian light goes green, but yet yes, it's red, but they would like to cross, and it's quite scary, more scary than when the traffic lights was not in. Yeah.
Now, the first quarter of this year alone, 20 people have been knocked down on this very particular stretch. How does this news make you feel?
Well, I feel very bad at it. Personally, what I did was that I work as an architectural technician. So I did a design of a bridge over here. And I posted it on some of the media, WhatsApp and Facebook and all that. And then I placed some here. I did a big banner and I placed it here. But I don't know whether the government is interested in that. But I think that when a bridge is constructed, it will help better than this. This one, a lot of people will keep dying.
But when you look at the situation critically, the problem does not only lie with the Niboy stretch. If you look at the N1 in general, we get a lot of knockdowns all the time. Why do you think this is happening from where you stand?
Well, I think that the road hasn't been constructed to serve pedestrians properly. When we take a cue from the Achimota of Ankoro, you realize that it's pedestrian friendly as compared to this one. For instance, the current pedestrian bridges that we have don't have ramps. So what are we talking about? So I think that this road is not designed to be pedestrian friendly. Meanwhile, the population of people who cross this road are more than that of Achimota to Ofankor. So I think that even when they want to construct new bridges, it should be more pedestrian friendly than the current one that we have.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. So let's try and get in touch with a lot more people and find out. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
What's your name?
Nane J.
All right. Nane J, what are some of the challenges you go through using the N1 stretch?
In fact, if they can provide overfly for us, we'll be happy, because assuming for instance, if there's no light, we have to wait, we have to beg them before the drivers will stop, then we can pass. But if there's overfly, quickly pass through the overfly.
And so how do you feel as a concerned citizen? How do you feel when...
Very bad. For instance, last week, when there's no light and the car was going, somebody was trying to pass, but the driver couldn't see and he hit the person. And it's very, very bad. We lose a lot of people.
Okay. But have you made any attempt to get the situation here?
No. Who should I report to? Who should I report to? If the authorities know and they are aware, but since they don't know what to do.
But you risk your lives when you use unapproved routes.
Yes, but there's no way. For instance, the overhead is far away. It's almost about 300 meters. And here is the bus stop. So I assume if I get down for that place, I have to walk through to this place. It's bad. And from here to Holes, closer to Nyamicha Junction. Are you getting me? So the best thing is they will do one flyover here, and then the Las Palmas another one, so that we can have a piece of one. Look at how the car is going. You can't stop them. and we know also what to cross. So please, you can use this media to let the authorities know that we are suffering on the N1 road.
Right, thank you very much, Nan.
You are welcome.
And you see, if you heard Nan AJ very well, you could feel the emotion. Indeed, if you are a road user, if you use the N1 regularly, you will know what road users go through. Let's try and talk to more people. Good evening, madam.
Good evening.
And Pache Frosting.
So far, are
there problems? Sana mukom semu yusu e kwan we ya.
Can't you know my entramo? Yet to me, I check. Readiness or crowd, you know my income. Am I want to the end?
But me say, baby, Muso Fifa corners, no with Yakako, Eddie Chuck Quine, Musro.
Say, Unya, open, Tamnas, a woman in an AM for Yentrama. I call you Nipan Befaso, Betomano, or no so Befaso.
Now Musro Mamonqua.
I is Roma young quines only a very day. So I say,
and so just as you heard from the lady, she says that they use the unapproved route because they have no other alternative, and so they will continue to use the unapproved routes even at the peril of their lives.
Please, we need overhead foot cross here for this place because more times we can see more accidents here. This afternoon, you can see that we have some accidents here. So please, they have to come and do foot cross for the passengers, for the people crossing the street here.
Do you use this road regularly?
Yeah, I'm a driver, so I use it every day.
Okay, and I know this problem has persisted for a while. What attempts have you made?
Actually, me, I can't do anything about this. You see, I can't do anything about this unless the MP or the assemblyman they have to talk about this, because more times we complain, we do complain, but they don't mind us. So they are the leaders, they are the people that they can move forward to the leaders for them to help us.
Okay. And so the gentleman we just spoke to, just like the others, is also helpless in the face of this situation. Let's talk to a few people and then we'll talk to the visibility officers as well. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
What's your name?
Isaac.
Isaac, what are some of the risks that you are exposed to while using this road?
I think if you don't take care, car can knock you down. So the best thing should be done, like if they get us a bridge here, like it will help people to cross the road very fast, and then being knocked down too can be prevented.
From the road user perspective, authorities have not shown enough commitment as far as reducing carnage on the N1 highway is concerned. They believe that a lot of road infrastructural challenges remain unresolved. The police visibility officers, on the other hand, admit recklessness on the highway remains a thorny issue they are grappling with. But they believe that with concerted efforts, they would be able to stem the tide of road accidents on the highway. Reporting for Joy News, Ridwan Karim Dini Osman, Accra.
Okay, so fantastic piece there from my colleague. I must also say thank you to the cameraman on duty yesterday, Ankuma, together with Redwan. You guys did a fantastic piece for us this morning. And just as Redwan was on that beat, the figure we've been told, in fact, I've been told by DSP Alexander being in the studio, is actually 29 now. So we have 9 more cases, also still within January and February 2015. And this is really, really worrying. But you heard some of the people that Redwan spoke to. They are being as real as possible. And I think that we've talked about that as well. Because in the footbridge is way there, and I have to cross here because this is, you know.
I think it's, geographic thought has taught that in certain instances, I think the extent of distance alone sometimes determines human behavior and all that. So happily, the users are even suggesting to the road engineer to come in with countermeasure.
Yeah. And
I think we also suggested some, but my main suggestion would be that the master road engineer of Ghana, who is a minister of roads and highways, as a matter of agency and policy, should allow Department of Urban Road to manage urban roads in police urban jurisdiction, because that road, I believe, was designed by highways, and no wonder it is a motorway which is allow people to speed about at 100 kilometers per hour, knowing very well it traverses urban area. So and all that.
What if I get you correctly, you're saying that it shouldn't have been a highway?
Obviously, what the use suggests that it is an urban road. Okay, the use, because we have Pelican crossing point, we have signalized junctions, and that's it.
But isn't it also a traveling road?
It doesn't mean that
it's linking one town to
motorway elsewhere don't have signalized junction. There are no traffic lights on motorway. No. See, unless you are entering, but on the motorway and then you allow pedestrian to cross at that high speed. What about if the light goes off at night, for example?
That's always a challenge.
And I'm saying that the speed management is to protect the vulnerable road users in Ghana. You look at our highway code, provision 35. It's what we use to teach drivers. And it talks about speeding distances and stopping distances and all that. And it requires that in areas where the moving vehicle will interface with somebody on foot, the maximum speed should not be more than 50 kilometers, because the person will see and will be able to go through these processes and come to a complete stop by covering 24 to 30 meters. And we're moving at that speed at 30 or 40. And it can never be that the same road environment where we are going to put children and all of us on foot around there to interface with a driver. The driver can move at 100 kilometers per hour. That driver requires about 80 meters before he can come to a stop to save a pedestrian, knowing very well that the road is so wide and it takes great difficulty for a lot of pedestrians to cross. Okay, and we know that majority of the pedestrians too are also children in this environment. I'm talking about Jolu, Abilinkwe, Abufun, Akweteman, La Paz, Nyameche. I'm talking about Hong Kong. I'm talking about Kwashiman, and I'm talking about Banyard, Awush, and Malam. You know, we have it's a very populated area in Accra. It is a dormitory residence. A lot of people come to the city center to work and go back and come back in the morning, and they crisscross. And there are a lot of community areas, including hospitals, schools on both sides, and residential facilities. So obviously, it is an urban environment. Note that before this road construction came, the people were using the road and were carrying out their cultural activity. This road cannot come and interfere and make it difficult for them to practice, because it is also a typical Ghanaian area. And they do this in marriage of people going patrilocal system. Okay, somebody can live on one side and have marry on the other side, and the woman will have to cross to go to the husband and wake up in the morning with the children back and all. So these activities are ongoing, and these social service delivery are also going on the road. So obviously the system, the culture there is that, and the practice is that it allows for people a lot of communication in terms of movement on foot. And when you begin to have this, and you say highway, motorway, we are calling for this, and that's why initially I said that it will be good for Ghana if this road is given back to Department of Urban Road to manage. In that context, then I will suggest that where we are approaching all the junctions, there should be a table, speed table, where you want pedestrian to cross, and we have this Pelican crossing point with light controlling it at Akweteman. We don't have to allow it like that with speed rambo strips. It won't work. People are speeding. These big, powerful vehicles, SUVs, they don't feel these rambo strips. They move.
It's rather when you slow that you feel it. So you want to speed on it.
And they are speeding. And so we need tables to slow drivers down, because the traffic light may not be working all the time. Are you getting it? And there are car drivers already have problem with speeding and crashes. And so, for me, Peninsula, one basic one is that the Minister of Roads and Highway to make it as a matter of policy to take this road corridor from Highway Department and give it to Department of Urban Road, because they are supposed to construct roads that do not allow drivers to speed above 50 kilometers per hour. And the scale and the engineering architectural scale is there. So I'm wondering why these roads are given to highways and they are constructing roads in urban environment, and we have incidents of preventable crashes that are killing when we have done it before. So I think that it is not too late. It has to be given to urban road, for urban road to give us urban road furniture that kneel to the protection of the vulnerable roads. And I'm talking about our children. I'm talking about a lot of women who are crossing the road carrying a lot of heavy loads and all that. And I'm talking about physically challenged, including the blind and all that, who are crossing all the time, so that we don't continue to have 29 people getting killed on this corridor and 61 getting knocked down on this corridor within 4 months, and we don't want to see 131 Ghanaians getting injured on this corridor within 3 months.
Okay,
it shouldn't be.
So let's talk about the persons who have died. Unfortunately, who are we talking about? Are they children? Are they men, women? What kind of people are they?
Let me get on my data. If you look at this year, for example, those who have been killed, we have male and female. And when you look at male above 18 years, adults, they constitute 25.
Okay.
And when you have the female side, we have 1 minor, and we have 3 adults. Okay. So 4 female.
1 a child, or under the age of 18.
Yeah, the female, one is a child. And on the other side, female, male, we have 25. This also is consistent with the national trends in terms of crash reporting. Because if in Ghana we have the population, the latest one we did is I think 55 to 45. So if my memory says, in terms of gender, male, female. But in terms of crashes, more the male gender get killed more. They're about 75 or 79% to about 21% in terms of male-female ratio, and that is what we have. And we can account for it in the reasons that we signed that most my colleagues, the male, we are sometimes reckless. We take
you take a lot more risk than we do,
and the risks are criminal risk, because if let's say we are able-bodied, so we cannot say we cannot walk to where the safe crossing point is, okay, and we want to jaywalk, we want to run across, we want to do all my, well, these are adults, 25 of them getting killed and all. So for me, the trend is the same. The men are exposing themselves to danger, and I don't think until the road is re-engineered, the men will continue to die. We are dying, and introducing a lot of widows in the system, and increasing the wheels of poverty, the poverty cycle. I think it's all the best.
So the major thing is for us to change those who are managing it from
and
highways to urban.
In the interim,
so finally, what should we do
in the interim?
Because you had some people who said they don't have any choice, and even though there's so much risk, they won't do anything about it still.
They see, there's always opportunity cost. Okay, and the opportunity cost is the fatalities we're having instead of crossing the road at safe crossing point. So I don't think we should go settle with this opportunity cost of fatalities on the road. We need to, as a matter of agency, adhere to the admonitions that are coming from National Road Safety Commission and the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, and all advocates that the limited safe crossing point facilities that are provided should be optimally used. And we have 4 bridges, one at Apenkwa, we have one at Akwitima, we have also one at Abrantier, and we have one at Hong Kong, and we have one also at Kwashima. we should be seen to be using them.
Okay.
And we are also admonishing to parents that they should not allow their children to cross the road in the morning. Otherwise, they expose them to danger. And drivers on this corridor, we are pleading that though as it is a motorway, we all should
know that it's in an urban area.
It's an urban environment. The facilities shows, because you don't see motorway having junctions, crossroads on it, and Signal Junction and Pelican Crossman. It is never done anywhere. So it's an urban road, and in the interim, we should move in moderation.
Okay.
And drive with the mind that your child, your mother, your own wife, or your husband may be crossing, and might have crossed wrongly as a jaywalker. But because you were moving a speed that was so moderate, you could avoid. And I'm elogizing on roadcraft, which is the best approach in saving lives in our road environment. That it is a system that allows drivers to control their vehicle to avoid colliding into a hazard. It might be a pedestrian. And you can only do that when your speed is minimal and you have control over it, and your eye is always glued on the roadway, and you are not tailgating, and you are not road raging. And when you do that, you will save life. It doesn't call for road raging in this environment. But a lot of people are doing it. They think it is straight and flat. And we know in Ghana, the roads that are well designed, that are well marked, that are straight and flat, that's where a lot of crashes occur, and not on pothole road. We know about that, but that's why we are admonishing that this year, the third global road safety, which we are celebrating in the world, was celebrated in Ghana this month as well. And the emphasis was on children and saving lives. And to save lives, we need to manage our speeds very well. And I'm discussing this with drivers who have been taught in their driving school by their driving instructors. And all is about the maneuvering of the vehicle and the use of speed. We plead that people should care their speed, move in moderate. Because at the end of the day, you move from one end from Malam to an exit anywhere, or get to Tetekwashi on the Liberation Road. At the end of the day, you get there. And that's one of my students. I taught them Catholic Secretariat. They have from drivers, and I went to teach them. And Ms. Asante told me that anywhere you go, tell Ghanaians that Takoradi is always there. Okay, so what does it take to road rage from here all the way to Takoradi, facing oncoming car, driving, running through red light, and doing all manner of things? No, meanwhile, you are only going to Takoradi.
Good advice.
I get what I'm talking about.
Good advice.
So we should move in moderation.
All right. On that note,
I wanted to say good morning to my Director General. He's in the Western Region. DCOP Mr. Wuntobe, who is the Director General Motor Traffic and Transport Department.
Yeah, he's my friend.
Yes, and I hope he's patrolling those corridors, because this is his, and he has to take a visit to Takoradi. What do you call? And Sutem and all the Wasa area and all that.
He's a good man.
We are with him.
He's a good man. He's a very disciplined man, and he accepted to be. He accepted and really was on my entertainment program on radio. So I really salute you, sir. Thank you so much, and I want to say thank you to you. Really, DSP Alexander Obings, Director Research and Training, Ghana Police Motor Traffic and Transport Departments. This is where we'll bring our discussion to an end, but please let me remind you again, like Mr. Asante told DSP Obing, and he's told me, and I want to share with you, Takoradi will always be there. But I also want to say that Cape Coast will always be there, Tamale will always be there, Ho will always be there, Angaloga will always be there. So please drive carefully. It's raining in some parts of Accra. If you're stepping out, be cautious. You can pick an umbrella, and if you're driving, you have to take extra careful. But let's get into some politics, some party politics now. Recent happenings within Ghana's opposition New Patriotic Party has put the party in the spotlight. Some regional executives have called on both Chairman Paul Afoko and Regional Secretary Kwabena Japon to quit after the death of the Upper East Chairman Adams Mahama. our Ashanti regional correspondent, Mohammed Nuruddin, had a chat with one of the founding members of the party, George A.C. Boateng, and we bring you a playback of that conversation now.